Let's get on with the subject matter of today, and that's going to be this thingy we call a circle. And the reason I chose this is, lately we had several questions on, or several issues, several comments on the circle. It turns out no one knows what a circle is, so I had to create a lecture just specifically to explain to people what a circle is. Okay, so this is the now let's see. There's another here. This is it. This is where the guy started. He said last week, he said, talking about me, he says, I held up a disc, once again calling it a circle. And this is what he's referring to. I held this up, Let's get the brightness out of there, I held this up. It's more or less a round thing, And he says, this is not a circle. This is a disc. And, everybody, if you show them this, they say it's a circle. But, the mathematicians are going to tell you that they learned it wrong. A circle is just some kind of outline or something. So we need to find out, we got to get to the bottom of this. Where did we all go wrong? If this is not a circle, if this is going to be called a disc, then what the hell is a circle? So let's get on with this. Let's see if we can show, give me a second here, let me get the circle out of there. This is what you'll see. Is that a circle or not? And he'll say, no, that's a disc. So that's what the issue is. If this is a disc, then what is a circle? That's going to be the question today. The $1,000,000 question. So let's find out what a circle is. We look it up, and we start by finding out what geometry is first. Let's find out what geometry, circle belongs to geometry, hopefully. So we go to the sites. Here's internet sites that teach geometry, And all of them are the same, so I just pulled two at random, but these are quite popular if you look them up there. So what is geometry? Definition of geometry here, Geometry is the mathematical study of what? Shapes. First and foremost, you need shapes. What does the next one say? What is geometry? Geometry is a branch of mathematics that studies what? Shapes, etc., etc., etc. And it says flat shapes like square, circle. Remember he's saying flat shapes like what? Circles. It's a flat shape. Usually we don't think of, when we look at a ring, we don't talk about flat. Flat, you usually look at a surface, something that extends, like a sheet of paper or a table. That's what we call flat. We look at, what is a plane? Also extended surface of some kind. That's the notion we have of when we apply the word flat. We don't usually apply it to a string. In a circle, we don't say, oh, that's flat. That circle is flat. We don't say that. We usually, when we talk about flat, we talk about something like this, which is, I use this one for the flat earthers, this thingy. That's why I keep that disc, as this gentleman would say, around. So geometry is the branch of mathematics that studies shapes, and he says, this site says flat shapes like circles, are a part of flat geometry and are called 2D shapes. Let's get all these words in there. Let's remember this if we can. These shapes have only two dimensions, the length and the width. They're not the only ones who say this. Here we have more prominent sites that you may have heard of. So let's put these up there. One is the Khan Academy, and they teach geometry, math, all kinds of stuff on the internet. And so the word geometry comes from what? Earth measurement. Geo, earth, metry, meter, measurement. The word itself comes from earth measurement. How shape, what does it study? How shapes and space and things that we see relate to each other. What does geometry deal with? Shapes. Wolfram, which is probably the most popular site, the most famous site. It's interesting to say they claim or they boast to be the web's most extensive mathematics resource. So you look up, what does geometry mean? What does this word stand for? What is geometry about? And they say geometry is the study of figures, blah, 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 blah. Study of figures. Only a little tiny problem there, and that you will not find the word figure in their entire website. So we don't know what they study, because if geometry is the study of figures and they don't define the word figure, then what the hell is geometry? And this is what the most extensive site, math sites, resource or whatever. So for this, if you want to find out what a figure is, you have no choice but to go 2,000 years ago, 2,300 or so years ago, and talk to Mr. Euclid. Mr. Euclid, he kind of, he wasn't the first one. In fact, he was probably the last one. He kind of rounded all the knowledge that the Greeks had of geometry and math and all that stuff, you know. Greeks who inherited from the Egyptians, who inherited it from the Sumerians, and so on, right? Okay, so it goes back and back and back. So all this knowledge was kind of collected by the Greeks, and Euclid studied in Athens, but he later went to Alexandria in Egypt, okay, in the Ptolemaic world, okay, after Alexander fell from grace. But he studied at the Lyceum where Aristotle taught, and that was his school. Okay, you have to remember Aristotle was Alexander's tutor, and Philip II, his father, Alex's father, right, hired Aristotle to teach his son. And then when Alex grew up a little, he sent, you know, they kind of had this influence over Athens, and they sent all these Macedonians. You know, Aristotle was not a Greek; he was a Macedonian. And to you, you might say, well, that's Greek to me. No. They would know the difference between a Macedonian and a Greek. And so he was a Macedonian in Greek lands. He was kind of like a spy there. And, you know, when Alexander fell from grace, when he died, you know, good old Aristotle had to get out of there. Okay? But he found the Lyceum, and Euclid studied at the Lyceum. So he collected all this information, wrote his book, Elements. And among other things, he defines what a figure is. Okay, so let's listen to Euclid. Let's find out what he says is a figure. Okay, he defines a figure for us since Wolfram doesn't. Okay, here it is. He says in his definition 14, a figure is that which is contained by any boundary or boundaries. Essentially, that which has shape, meaning a figure is what I say it is, and that is what an object is. An object is that which has shape. It's not that which you can see or touch, it's that which has shape. He called it boundary or boundaries. Now, he did a pretty good job there. There's only one problem here, and that's the problem that no one ever paid attention to this definition. After line 14, you know, definition 14, no one ever used that definition at all in the last 2,300 years. Okay, so that's the definition of a figure, but no one uses it, and no one has ever used it. No one, and more important than that, no one ever realized how important that definition is. Okay? Now, I came up with the same definition, but my critical contribution is knowing or understanding how important the definition is. See, not even Euclid understood what he wrote there. He didn't realize how important that definition was, and the reason is very clear. He never used that definition at all in the rest of his book. So even though he defined a figure as that which has shape, that which has boundary, he never used the definition in his book, so he didn't realize what he wrote. So that's the other thing I criticize him for. You know, not only do I define the word as shape, but I understand the importance of it, and I do use it. Okay. Okay. So what is a circle then? Does a circle belong to the world of figures? Let's find out. Here it is. He defines it in the next definition, just the one right after that, 14, number 15. A circle is a plane what? Figure. Okay. A circle is a plane figure. What is a figure? That which has boundaries, that which has shape, right? But this one is a plane figure, meaning we need to know what a plane is. And what is a plane? Well, a plane is, you know, a continuous sheet of paper. It's a continuous surface. That's what a plane is, okay? And it says contained by one line such that all the straight lines falling upon it from one point among those lines within the figure equal one another. Okay, so we got too many problems with that definition. The first one is that between any two lines, I can fit a billion lines, okay? That's the first problem. In other words, I can fit more and more lines. That means that Euclid is still building his circle even to this day. He never finished building his circle. Okay, so if a circle is a bunch of lines that fall on points, and there can be lines between any two lines, then his so-called circle was never finished. Okay, and besides, that's not a plane. Again, that's not a figure in the sense that it's not a continuous object. What he's describing there is, or defining there, is something that you construct. You have to construct that circle. It's never finished because you got to construct it. It's not like you can point to a circle, to Euclid's circle. You have to build it line by line, and between any two lines, you got a gazillion lines. So you'll build that circle forever. There is no circle that you can point to until he finishes his sculpture. That's the problem with Euclid's circle. Okay, but let's continue here. Here's the modern definition, the one so-called geometers of today use. Okay, these are the mathematical so-called physicists who use this definition. Okay, and it's the one you find in the Wikipedia. It's not because it's in the wiki; you'll find it in every book. So it's the same thing. These people have the same notion everybody else has. So no problem with using the wiki here. Okay, circle, a shape. Okay, consisting of all points in a plane. In a plane. In a plane. What is a plane? Well, we'll find out in a second. that are at a given distance from a given point, the center. Okay, so one of the issues we're going to find out here is whether that center point is part of the circle. Okay, that's one issue. The other issue, okay, what do you mean shape? What is shape? Well, shape is the form. Okay, so what is the form? Form is the shape. Oh, great. We learned a lot. Shape is the form, form is the shape. Okay, what is a plane? Well, plane is a surface, and surface is a plane. Oh, great, we learned a lot. That's on Wikipedia. You'll find this circularity, these synonyms. They think they define the term, all they had is synonyms. Plane is a surface, surface is a plane. Shape is a form, form is a shape. Great, we learned a lot. But what's the problem with that circle? We got a little bit of problems there, don't we? Here we have a whole bunch of points. And similar to Euclid's series of lines, you can put gazillion points between any 2 points according to mathematical physics. Between any 2 points, there are gazillions of points. Why? Because they don't talk about points. They never give you the size of a point. They're talking about locations, which is not a geometric figure. Anything made of locations is not a geometric figure. Geometric figure is what I'm pointing to. That's a geometric figure. But if I'm going to build it, construct it point by point, first of all, it's never going to be finished, because between any 2 points I can fit another one. That means it's not a continuous circle, in other words, continuous circumference. It's not united. All we have is discrete points, one isolated from the next one. There's space between any 2 points. Then they're not points, they're locations. That means you're talking about the location of an object that is there, which is an undefined object. It's the point that's there. And what's the point? The point is a location. So we have a location inside a location. That's all we're talking about, location. Locations of what? Oh, we don't know. Just a bunch of locations. Between any 2 locations, you can fit gazillions of locations. Great, we learned quite a bit. Okay, so that's quite circular. Where do we continue from here? Let's get this one in there. Here's the problems with the notion that mathematical physics has. Let's see if we can summarize this. These are way at the bottom, so I got to pull them up from there. Okay, here it is. Fatal problems with a mathematical circle. Okay, the first one is it's still under construction. Okay, between any 2 points, there's another one. Circle of points does not enclose a surface. Okay, because it's leaking. The surface is leaking through between any 2 points. It's trying to enclose it because there's always a space between there, between points. Okay, circle of points does not enclose a surface, especially if the surface is not part of the circle. I mean, if the circle is not this, if this center does not belong to the circle, we don't even have a surface. Then we don't have a plane. I mean, is a square just the outside? Is the triangle just the outside? Or is a triangle the whole surface? Is the square the whole surface? Is a circle the whole surface? Okay? Otherwise, what kind of plane do we have? Is it just lines? Is that what a plane is? Just lines? Just a contour line? Okay? And circle of points is not a plane. Okay? Circle of points is not a figure. Okay? That's mereology, because all you're saying is circle is a bunch of points. That's what you define. And that's known as mereology. It's irrationality. It's religion. Okay? That's mathematical physics, not science. Okay? We don't use mereology. An elephant is not a bunch of points. An elephant is what I'm pointing to. Okay? And likewise, a plane is something I can point to. Like, I can point to this. Okay? I can point to this circle here. Okay? I can point to that. I can't point to a bunch of points surrounding space, each of those points which is a location. I'm not pointing anything so far. So far I've got nothing in front of me. I've got a bunch of locations in midair. That's not a circle, that's not a plane, that's not a figure. Okay? That's a movie of you building location by location, whatever's in those locations, a location, frame by frame. That's all you're doing. Okay? You're building something in a movie. And the definition is actually a proof, because you have to run a test. You gotta do something. This tells you how to draw a circle, point by point, if that's what a circle is, right? It's just telling you how to do it. They say you just put one point next to the other, and they have to be at a certain distance from the center, etc. That's a construction. That's not a circle. That's not a finished figure that you can point to again. It's not a sculpture. And it requires an experiment. What you're doing is, let's find out if it's a circle. Let's build it. Let's do the experiment. That's what these people are saying. Okay? Okay, and here's the other circle that they have. And this is even funnier, okay, because this circle is even worse. It's which is the other definition of circle that Wikipedia has, okay, by the way. And it's equivalently, it is the curve traced out by a point that moves in a plane. So here we have a dynamic figure. It's built, by rolling a little point around so that its distance from a given point is constant. Okay? So is that what a figure is? Is that what a sculpture is? The guy chiseling? Is that what a sculpture is? Or is a circle what you point to? See, these people are constructing it point by point, and they're saying, well, you can either put points next to each other, or you can just roll a point all around, and we're going to call that a circle. Is that a figure? Is that a geometric figure? Is that a plane? Or are they talking about a movie where a little dot moves around? And so you see it in the frame in different locations. Okay? So you see the problem. The problem is that these are not definitions of figures. These do not belong in geometry to begin with. None of these definitions belong in geometry. Neither Euclid's, nor the dynamic, nor the static one that mathematical physics has today. Okay, so let's get the summary on this. And here it is. Here's my take on this. These are the questions for you. If a circle is not a disk, which this is a circle, okay? And these people call that a disk, okay? If a circle is not a disk, if it's something other than what I just showed you, if it's something else, this bunch of dots or whatever, is a circle a figure? Okay? Is this dot going around? Is this location moving around? Is that a circle? Is that what we call it? Is that a figure? Okay? And remember, figure is that which has shape, or as Mr. Euclid said, it's that which has boundaries. Again, which is the sine qua non requirement of the discipline known as geometry. Remember, what was geometry about? Shapes. Is a dot moving around a shape? Is that what a shape is? Or is a shape what you're pointing to, more or less? Okay, is a circle a plane? I mean, is it a continuous surface? For lack of a different word. A sheet of paper, we say, is a surface. And when it lies flat against the table, we say that both the table and the paper are flat. That's when we use the word flat. We don't put a little string around in a circle and say it's flat. We don't usually use the word flat in terms of a little string that's rolled around. We use it when we talk about a surface, a plane, like squares, like triangles, like circles, like this. That's what a plane and what a figure and what a shape is. Not a little dot going around, meaning a location that goes around, because again, we don't know what's in that location. Okay, again, a patterned sheet, that's what I'm talking about, okay? Because that, you cut a sheet of paper and you say that's a circle. Okay, does the center point belong to the circle if the circle is not a plane? I mean, if it's just that line around, does the center belong to the circle? Can we talk about the center of the circle? Okay. And what's the diameter across? Empty space. I mean, we talk about diameter, we talk about circumference, Again, is there a difference between circumference and circle then? Are they synonyms, circumference and circles? Okay. Is that what a circle is? Just the outline? And is a circle something we construct or draw, right? Point by point. In other words, is it dynamic? All these questions are for you, okay? So you can answer each one, okay? Let's see what kind of answers you give, for those people who say that this is not a circle. Okay? Yeah, a circle is what you call a disk. And whatever you call a circle, we have no idea because it doesn't belong in geometry. That's the answer to that question. Corollary, if a circle is a bunch of dots, it is still under construction. There are infinite dots between any two dots, and that does not belong to the discipline known as geometry, which is what? The study, first and foremost, the study of shapes. Okay, we got it? So there's homework for everybody. Anyone who wants to give it a shot, anyone who says that I'm wrong, that I'm irrational, there you have your chance. You can write all you want. Explain exactly what you mean if a disk is not a circle.